Hey, let's do it for the content. Mega Ran. Let's go. Let's get it. Dick Kick City. It gets gritty when Mega Ran come through. The kid gets busy. Work yourself into a shoot, but you know it's legit. Like what you like, just don't be a dick. Hey, wrestling with regret. Let's get it. Yeah. What's that set? Maybe you should bottle it. Drink it and spray it on. Get Claude to model it. 8 years in, can't look back. Who else can make the little sweatsuits look whack? Wrestling with regret. Let's get it. Yeah.
Hulk Hogan. Wow, really? No cheers? Even Cena got that. We're off to an interesting start, to be sure. Every time I see Hulk Hogan in anything outside of wrestling, I'm like, how? How did this giant blonde hot dog manage to parlay his in-ring success into so many things outside the business for so long? Hogan can be charismatic as hell in the wrestling world, sure, but place him anywhere but there and all hope is lost, time and time again. After all his time in acting, he still only has two basic looks: his intense wrestling look for the action scenes and his confused, bug-eyed look for practically everything else. It's almost as if he doesn't know how to communicate to other human beings, like he's some kind of alien, like he's not from this planet. Suburban Commando. In his first leading role since No Holds Barred, Hogan plays an intergalactic hero who's forced to camp out on planet Earth for a while and is taken in by a quirky suburban family featuring Christopher Lloyd and Shelley Duvall. Legend has it this movie was originally made for, get this, Arnold Schwarzenegger and Danny Devito. Apparently the original title was Urban Commando, but the project stalled when the stars asked for too much money. Then they just decided to make Twins and Junior instead. New Line Cinema picked up the script, handed it off to Hogan, and the rest is history. Schwarzenegger and Devito dodged a huge bullet in passing up this film, but can you imagine what this thing would have been like with the original casting? Apparently I can't. Whereas No Holds Barred was a pretty violent movie for a personality with a younger following like Hogan, 1991's Suburban Commando went the route of the second Ninja Turtles movie, toning down the aggression and amping up the laughs. And we all know how well that turned out for the heroes in a half shell. This film was the first credit for writer Frank Capello. As for director Burt Kennedy, a man who had directed and written for dozens of TV and film projects going back to 1956, this is the last film he would direct for 9 years until doing one final TV movie just before his death in 2001. But don't think this movie just killed the director's love of the game. Listen to this parting shot from Roger Ebert in his own review. Somebody was asking the other day, do I ever get tired of going to the movies? Nah, I said, I love movies, and so some days it's not really a job, it's more of a lucky break. But I wasn't feeling lucky the day I saw Suburban Commando. And you know what? By golly, by the time it was over, I was feeling kinda tired of going to the movies. You monsters! You killed Roger Ebert's love of going to the movies! Have you no heart? It's been one of my most heavily requested movie reviews, and after all this time, I'm not gonna wait any longer, brother. Sit back and let's take a closer look at Suburban Commando. The movie opens up and, wow, these guys aren't even trying to hide the plagiarism, are they? By the way, how is it this movie came out almost 15 years after the original Star Wars movie, yet this one looks about 15 times worse? Oh, come on! There's like no effort to make this thing look original, is there? Not Emperor Palpatine has captured the president of some planet, doesn't matter, it's his only scene. I have to admit though, the main baddie here is one of my favorite things about the movie.
To serve a sadistic, egotistical, homicidal maniac.
I don't think of myself as egotistical. Proud, maybe.
God, what a great delivery. He definitely understood the assignment. But this foppish madman's plans are spoiled by the arrival of...
Ramsey.
Ramses is the one, he puts the people on fire.
Enter Hulk Hogan, who... Wait, sorry, phrasing. Here comes Hulk Hogan, who... Nope! Hulk Hogan has arrived on the scene as Shep Ramsey, a space vigilante wearing only the finest styrofoam armor. Take a good look at Hogan in this getup and tell me you can't envision Arnold wearing that in some alternate timeline. Ramsey handily defeats General Suter's guards, a group that surprisingly does not include Brutus Beefcake, and confronts Suter in his room full of skulls on plastic tubes. Man, it's bad enough this scene rips off Star Wars so much, but Apocalypse Now too? In the standoff, President What's-His-Name cuts off Suter's hand. As he begins to transform into some alien-type creature, Shep, the hero of this picture, just pieces out and leaves everyone for dead, including the guy he was meant to save. The good guy, everyone!
Millions are in your debt.
Great. So what's next?
Ramsey's boss downplays the death of President Who Cares and dismisses it as the big guy just being a little overworked and stressed out in his job.
I'm not stressed out.
Shep, what have you done?
Shep accidentally breaks his power console and is under strict orders to land somewhere and recharge as slowly as possible to take some time off. It turns out the closest planet is Earth, or the moon, I guess from looking at this thing.
Earthlings. I hate Earthlings.
Do you care to elaborate on that, Ramsey? Will we find out at some point in this movie why you hate Earthlings? No? Cool.
It's a nice place to live.
But I wouldn't want to visit.
Such a nice place to live.
Not.
Get ready to party.
Why is Hogan being sampled over this song? It sounds like a practice run for Hulk Rules. Meanwhile on Earth, meet the Wilcoxes. Charlie is an architect and welds stuff as a hobby. Jenny is a stressed out wife from an infomercial.
Oh, Charlie, good. We gotta talk. How are we gonna pay all these bills?
There are 2 kids as well in this movie, but they're pretty much a non-factor. Don't worry about them. Can this music please stop? Thank you. A big exposition dump reveals that Charlie is a weak-willed wussy boy who doesn't take risks or stand up for anything. And like any mild-mannered hero in just about every movie ever made, he deserves a raise by gum. But just his luck, his boss happens to be played by that guy who plays an asshole in everything he does. But damn, at least he's funny when he does it.
Sweating the details, making the deadline. Come on, living the dream, Charlie. That's what counts. Do you realize I envy you?
Charlie's boss fails to recognize all of our hero's hard work and shuts him down, but not before showing off his crystals that he hopefully didn't get from that cave under the orphanage.
Pure simian crystal.
These awards are my proudest possessions.
And a future plot point, I'm sure. Otherwise, why bring them up? Elsewhere, Shep lands his ship at an old nightclub called The Landing Pad. Wow, what wit! Some slapstick ensues and Hogan helps a lady get money from a vending machine by breaking it. Then he steals some guy's clothes for locking his dog in a hot car with a cage over its face. I mean, at that point it just seems excessive. Ah look, Shep sees a sign for an apartment for rent somewhere in that direction. Keep walking, Ramsey, I'm sure you'll find it eventually. After a frustrating day, which included this running gag of him failing to make a light on time, Charlie comes home to some rude neighbors who are blocking his driveway, and the Colonel, a really sad version of the Admiral from Mary Poppins. Haha, PTSD. But forget all that, because it's time for this PG comedy to get dangerously close to the forbidden PG-13 rating.
Hi, honey. Maybe you need a little compassion.
Okay, so my first exposure to Shelley Duvall was when I was like 5 or 6 and she played Little Bo Peep in this Mother Goose movie on the Disney Channel. And then I didn't see her again for many years after that until The Shining. All I'm saying is this scene brings up some weird feelings for me right about now. But wouldn't you know it, Charlie is such a depressed beta cuck, oh god, I feel 10 times dumber having just said that word out loud, that he's not in the mood for sexy times with olive oil.
Let's get out to the workshop. Pick up my hammer. Hit things.
Hello, if you want to play rough, your wife is right there. But even that doesn't work out for him, as Jenny has taken the liberty of converting his hobby shed into an apartment for rent to help with the finances. Wait, she did all that in a day? Okay, Charlie should not be the breadwinner in this family. Jenny's got an HGTV show with her name all over it. But suddenly, this family's quiet suburban life is about to change. Oh, what a surprise that Hulk Hogan is here. Ramsey is such a fish out of water, he doesn't understand what children are. Silly Shep, those are kids with handles on their backs for the purpose of this shot, not just random animals. As Shep makes himself comfortable at the house, Charlie is suspicious of what's really going on. Charlie spies on Ramsey sorting out his equipment, and boy, someone in the props department had a field day with all this stuff. Of course, Charlie messes with Shep's stuff the nanosecond he leaves. What a disappointment. Did those anti-gun PSAs teach you nothing? Back in space, some evildoers are able to trace Shep to Earth after the gun went off, so a pair of bounty hunters, one of whom is The Undertaker, are tasked with finding him. Man, even in his own movie, Hogan's wanted poster isn't all that flattering.
What the hell am I talking about? I got a grip. Darth Vader living in my back house, for Christ's sake.
Okay, in what world does Hulk Hogan resemble Darth Vader? I mean, Michael J. Fox in the beekeeper suit looked more like Darth than Shep Ramsey does. As Shep tries to adjust to suburban life, he encounters all kinds of wacky misunderstandings. He confuses Jenny screaming at the TV as a sign of distress, almost guts the mailman, and completely wrecks a paperboy's shit.
Bullseye, smartass.
Well, in fairness, the kid is wearing an honest-to-goodness propeller beanie. He probably deserved it. I can't get over this scene of Shep trying to skateboard, only for him to completely wipe out from a stationary position. This is the biggest bump I've seen Hogan take since that superplex with Boss Man in the cage. Eventually, Ramsey comes around to helping his landlord, beginning with the neighbors blocking his driveway.
You got any idea what we're gonna do to you if we find one itty-bitty scratch on him?
Let me guess. You're gonna pound my face, break every bone in my body. Then you're gonna drag me across the gravel road and feed my remains to a warthog. Is that about right?
This is the 90s. We're gonna sue you.
If this movie were made today, 1000% they would have said cancel instead. Moments later, Shep saves young Mark from being killed by some fast-driving youths, then sprints after him to cut them off. So they totally fail to notice this kid in front of them, or his skateboard when they obliterated it, or a stop sign, but they'll stop for this big dude standing still in front of them?
You're crazy!
So this is where a young Braun Strowman got some of his inspiration. Shep saves the day, and the Wilcoxes officially welcome him into the family, complete with chocolate cake and an awkward group picture. That night, Ramsey goes out to check his ship again, and Charlie follows him. On his walk, Shep encounters a car alarm that is so frightened of him, it begs for its life.
No, please, wait, no. Oh Lord, I've fallen and I can't get off.
Why would they program the car alarm to say that? Oh good, a mime doing his act at night on a darkened street with nobody around. Classic mime stuff. Charlie follows Shep back to the landing pad where the ship is charging, bathed in a dark blue light to hide how crappy it really looks. I'm just surprised the filmmakers had the restraint to keep Christopher Lloyd from shouting,
Great Scott!
Power crystals 70% below operational. Approximately 21 Earth days to full recharge. You are stuck here.
Okay, how do all the robots in this movie have attitudes? Is there some weird, dark secret about this town we don't know about? As Shep heads back home, he suddenly hears the sound of lasers, then grabs his invisible gun. But it's another misunderstanding, as Ramsey was hearing the sounds of an arcade machine, which was somehow loud enough to drown out everything else in it. He sees a kid playing what is clearly a jet fighting game, yet the two throw around space jargon.
Use your phasers!
I can't, I'm in hyperspace!
At what point should another adult have stepped in here? Finally, Shep shoves the kid out of the way and starts blasting. He's so dominant, the game literally surrenders to him. Holy crap, Hogan won't even put an arcade console over. Oh yeah, and this thing with the mimes now a running gag. Who exactly is this guy performing for outside this office building at night? While all this has been going on, nosy-ass Charlie heads right into the ship to look around. He sees a woman being assaulted nearby, so he dons the armor to make the rescue, and with little actual input of his own, manages to save the day.
You saved my life. If there's anything I can do for you.
Doing good is its own
Stop,
reward.
stop. Why? Why does Shep's armor have blinking lights on the codpiece? Are we suggesting this futuristic piece of technology is programmed to loudly alert to you and to everyone around you that you have a space boner? In the chaos, Chuck leaves behind a piece of equipment that sends out another signal and brings the bounty hunters one step closer to Earth. And then it's time for Hulk Hogan's acting tour de force.
Quiet! Hey!
Shep must have super hearing because after that he can hear the cries of a little girl, who compared to the last front yard scene we had, might not even be on the same block.
My cat. That's not my cat.
Oh.
So first of all, that cat is totally dead now. Second, if that wasn't her cat, why did she act like hers was up there? Shep continues to have a complete lack of understanding of basic real-life shit like how to handle fruit, then he scares off the mime again. What's with the paper towels under his chin? That's supposed to be a bandage or a weird neck brace, or did he forget to take it off after makeup? Ramsey discovers the bounty hunters are on their way and correctly assumes that it's Charlie's fault. He goes to his office and, wouldn't you know it, something's misunderstood.
Leave a message or take a seat. I said take a seat.
Oh, funny. That's real funny.
Hogan, my man, you sure know how to pick 'em. That shit is gold.
Where are we going? To where you saved this girl.
Well, hang on, how did Shep even know that? He wasn't there. Did he get a reading from the Icock Shuffle or something? They take Charlie's car and Shep reveals everything going on, that he's from outer space and bounty hunters are on their way. They go back to the scene of last night's action, but the weapon is missing.
Wait a minute.
When did Shep have time to put something in Charlie's glove box? Oh my god, forget the Star Destroyer from earlier. They literally just stole a PKE meter from the prop table of the Ghostbusters set. Man, this movie has no shame. The device helps them follow the weapon's signal to a bank, where the goons from before have used the weapon to freeze everyone inside. This moment calls for Christmas music? Yeah, because when you think cold, you automatically think Christmas, I guess? Shep beats up the goons mid-robbery. It almost looks like we're about to see a Hulksicle, but that would require Hogan to look weak in any way. And as Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson recently discovered, Hogan knew that a good movie hero never ever loses a battle. That being said, how does Shep get out of this jam?
Gotcha!
Antifreeze.
Okay. Charlie gets frozen in the struggle, the bounty hunters burst in and just start openly firing on everyone inside, and our heroes escape. Charlie eventually thaws out and seems to have forgotten the convo he had just had with Shep.
Bounty hunters? You mean from up there? So, you're some kind of space warrior.
Man, it is really hard to separate Christopher Lloyd from Doc Brown. I just keep forgetting this character is not very smart. Shep tries to leave immediately, but the engine he's been working on explodes because reasons. Shep wants to fight, but Charlie refuses, and the two argue about who's more responsible for their situation.
Listen, little man, it's your fault they're here.
My fault! My planet, my family were fine before you brought your intergalactic grudge match here.
And then, the all-time immortal line.
Christ! I was frozen today!
You know, there is nothing I can say that can adequately express my appreciation for the strength and the beauty and the grace of that line. I mean, the line itself and the delivery, every part of it is perfection on film. So instead of me trying to come up with some witty one-liner to talk about it, instead, I'm gonna go on a little beverage break. Excuse me. Sounds like my dishwasher. Tastes like shit. Hogan says, very indirectly mind you, that his ship needs crystals to run again. But not just any crystal, it's the very same whatever and such crystal that the boss conveniently talked about earlier in the movie. They head back to Charlie's work where a fancy dinner party in honor of some new Japanese investors is taking place. Everybody's there, including the secretary from before.
I mean, what could be better than a bunch of beefy, burly boys beating the crap out of each other trying to score?
Being a burly boy.
Yes, can't you just feel the raw sexual tension just radiating off those two? That is the implication in that scene, by the way. I had to play it through a couple of times to make sure. Our boys get to Beltz's office, but the crystals aren't in the case. They use their X-ray specs to find them, but in doing so, they reveal themselves to the bounty hunters, who arrive in their Windows FMV cutscene. The asshole boss is schmoozing with the investors and showing off his crystals. Charlie is able to lure them away, so he and Shep can grab the crystals and throw them into a trash bag. The perfect way to handle them when we've seen that they can explode for no reason.
Hold right there.
Boys.
Wait a minute, why is she here now? Can we just keep the story simple so we can get to the end of the movie faster? There we go. We then get some wacky fight hijinks, or fight jinks, between Shep and the bounty hunters. I love how Bounty Taker has to click his heels to make his special moon boots work. Speaking of which, this fight needs something. We're down to Hogan and the Undertaker after an elevator car crushes the other bounty hunter, and the mute baddie finally gets to speak.
You're a dead man, Ramsey.
No wonder you guys never talk.
Ooh, is that a reference? Is that a reference? Oh, I see what they did there with the dead man thing. Ooh. The fight ends after we see some more wild slapstick and the Undertaker being hurtled into a wall. Shades of their finish at this Tuesday in Texas.
Game over. You lose.
Good one? Charlie runs home to do one last sweep of the house for gear before Shep blows his taco stand, but by the time he gets there, General Suter is back from the dead and taking the family hostage. Back at the landing pad, Suter and Shep fire on each other, and Shep, our brave hero, runs and hides in his ship while the Wilcoxes are left outside. Good plan, but then...
Sometimes you gotta lose to win.
Shep activates the self-destruct sequence on his ship and offers himself up to Suter to allow the Wilcoxes to escape. This allows the villain to just gnaw the bejesus out of the scenery.
Ever since you blew up my ship, I didn't like that. You're going to die much more painfully.
Hey, with a movie like this, you gotta make the most of your minutes. The family gets away, but Charlie has second thoughts.
I'm going back to help him.
Oh, Charlie, I can't let you do that.
This is something I have got to do.
Oh, Charlie.
Wow, that didn't take much convincing. I'm going back. Charlie, don't. But I have to. Okay, if you have to, I guess. Suter toys with Shep as he fires lasers all around him. Either that or his aim is so bad he makes stormtroopers look better by comparison. In fact, it's only when he's distracted by Charlie plowing through the wall with his car does he actually strike his nemesis. The general easily overpowers Chuck until he gets the old testicular claw with the power glove assist. But then... now it's Christopher Lloyd who has to witness the villain's disturbing transformation into its final form. How does it feel, you jerk? We finally get a look at this horrible beast, and it's the result of the creature from the Black Lagoon fucking Luchasaurus? In case you're wondering, the guy under the suit isn't anyone like Giant Gonzalez, but actor Vincent Hammond, who spent a lot of time being typecast in big guy roles before later working behind the scenes. His very next role was for a TV movie called Frankenstein the College Years, which also stars Larry Miller as the asshole dean. Holy crap, the Commando-verse is getting more intricate by the hour. Anyway, Shep gets his ass kicked for a bit until he's able to back the monster into the electrical panel. The final boss gets electrocuted, which, if you'll remember, is exactly how Rip killed Brel in No Holds Barred. Is nothing sacred? The building goes boom after the ship self-destructs, and our heroes miraculously make it out alive.
But if you ever do anything like this again...
Please stop, dear. I suffered severe head trauma. Having helped save the galaxy, an emboldened Charlie gets an asshole boss's face and quits his job. We then jump ahead to see the Hulkster looking way more alien than he has all movie in that outfit. And now he can do radical skateboard tricks all of a sudden.
Tell your mom to keep practicing.
Holy shit, he just burned that kid in front of all his friends. What a king! We also come back to the girl with the cat in the tree, only it actually is her cat this time. This time she's the one who goes flying, but unlike the last cat, does not die a painful death. Shep and the secretary leave Earth to start a family in space. They take the bounty hunter's ship and the family waves goodbye. I guess that's the E.T. part of this review snippet that calls the movie E.T. meets High Noon. The film ends with a return to the green light bit from earlier. Despite having worse aerodynamics, Charlie's car makes it through the light on time, then he shoots it out with a laser gun. But instead of causing a massive multi-vehicle crash, everyone just drives on through and it's all good, I guess. And that was Suburban Commando. Is it the worst film I've ever seen? Absolutely not. In fact, there were a few really good gags in there from time to time. It's just too bad they were bogged down by everything else that didn't work. I believe the premise has some great potential, and the supporting cast was mostly good. In particular, Larry Miller, Christopher Lloyd, and William Ball, who I actually learned had died just months before the film was released. But if there's anything negative to dwell on with this movie, sadly, it's the star of the picture. Hulk Hogan is no Arnold Schwarzenegger, and even at his best, he couldn't come close to Stallone's worst. As successful as Hogan was in the ring with his family-friendly gimmick, he just didn't have the versatility to bring that same energy to film. Throw in some weak-running gags, bad special effects, blatant plagiarism, and black holes in logic, and you got a movie that deserves the big boot leg drop combo right into the trash heap of cinema. That's all for this week, folks. I'm Brian Zane, and you know what? I might as well say this right now. It's 2021, and we still don't have cybernetic beeping cock plates. I mean, what the hell, society?
I was frozen today.